Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mike Herron's podcast, City Studios. I am the Hurricane Mike Herron, and we have a very, very special guest today, okay? Mickey Ward, a couple of weeks ago. Dennis Oil Can Boyd today. Two athletes who got everything out of everything that God gave them, okay? Everything out of it. Classic overachievers, classic blue collar. I mean, laid it on the line every single day. This man pitched in the World Series, okay? In the World Series. And he is our guest today in Fall River, Mass, at Podcast City. Is that because that's what you wanted me to call you? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
You're a good dude, man. Everything that anybody said about you is true. You've been hanging with us for about 45 minutes now. You ate my zillies. We had a good time talking back and forth. My man Quinn Fenner from New Bedford came over, told a couple of stories about you guys in spring training, being at your house with your friend. Mm-hmm. But just like to welcome you today. And how my interviewing style is like chronologically.
Right.
It's a timeline. So the first question I have for you is, what was life like in Meridian, Mississippi in the 60s when you were growing up?
Well, different times. I like to say, that the water was tainted.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of ignorance going on.
Sure.
It was something that was, many, many generations before that led up until the time that I would be growing up. And, the atmosphere was around, but it wasn't like it was, I would imagine, when my dad was growing up. But, I experienced some things as a kid.
Of course,
that still hangs with you today. And, it had a lot to do with the makeup of the type of person that I became.
Sure. My family's from Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
So I have an acute idea of, not an acute idea, but my father did, with his father and the issues, and it was very real.
Right.
Back then, and
bigotry was strong. So.
Sure. But Meridian, was it? What was the racial makeup of Meridian, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, basically, I want to say that the percentage of people of color maybe outweigh you, maybe 65-35.
65-35.
Yeah, it's a predominantly black city.
Now, in the 60s, did the African American community have money? Was there black money there? Were there black teachers? Were there black people in power?
Only in the educated. Mind you, you're talking about Mississippi at a period in time where illiteracy ran their abundance.
Sure.
And the majority of African Americans that would be, say, my granddad's age,
and
et cetera, at that period in time, you just maybe 50 years out of the son of a sharecropper.
Sure, yeah.
So that mentality was still there. So you had a lot of illiteracy going on at that time. So with illiteracy, it brings poverty, and it also brings illiteracy.
And Mississippi being one of the most, traditionally the most poorest states, but a proud state. I have friends from Mississippi, and believe me when I tell you, they are not going to take a step back when they tell you that they're from Mississippi. Believe me, and it's funny.
People own up to, the past.
Yeah.
They own up to it, whether it's a positive or a negative. It was a way of life. Sure. So people understand, and I still say where I grew up at is a very, very beautiful place.
Sure. Now let's talk about that place. How many your school as like a 10-year-old? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How many kids in the class? What type of facility are you in? I mean,
You talk about it in the period in time
that
I grew up?
That you grew up, sure.
Okay. Because when I grew up, schools had integrated until I became maybe 12 years old.
Sure.
So, we experienced less than, we'll put it like that.
Sure.
In the educational department.
Separate but not equal.
Very much so. And, being deprived and those type of atmospheres, it grows on a kid. And then when schools did integrate, it slowly became a change of some significance of equality, a little bit. It was a parent change. You know,
Yeah.
people start to understand other people.
Sure.
And
John F.
yeah,
Kennedy is
yeah.
his thing's going on right now. It's hope for different types of people. He's looks at as like the anti-establishment guy and running against Nixon and
Right.
and all that was about.
Well, he set a precedence
Yeah.
that morality would stand,
Yeah.
and individuality and would stand, and some form of equality would stand. And even after his death, you can see that things that he and Dr. Martin Luther King
Sure.
and others in that period in time were talking about how to try to address, what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And not just in the United States. Everything took place in that period in time around.
Oh, it was a very active time in the 60s, certainly.
Yeah.
Do you remember the University of Mississippi being integrated for the first time? I believe it was James Burgess, right? Am I correct about that name there?
James Meredith.
James Meredith, sorry about that.
Yeah.
James Meredith. Do you remember that?
I don't remember it. I was too young to really lock in on it. But as I got older and been, growing up in a predominantly black atmosphere and segregated atmosphere, you learn about these situations and things that took place, even from Emmett Till to James Chaney to Medgar Evers.
Yeah.
All of those things I experienced in my life, and I was old enough to realize definitely Martin Luther King more than most. I was turning 9 years old, so we knew what was happening. Because
and your parents kept you aware
talk
of that.
About it.
How many brothers and sisters in your family? How many, did you come from a nuclear household? Were your mom and dad together through the whole process?
18.
18 brothers and sisters?
Yes, 18 of us.
Wow, I want to go to that family reunion.
Well, that's the beautiful part about
Awesome.
being the youngest of that group and also the genetic part that was passed down in the game of baseball made life quite, magnificent, very humble, not taken for granted.
Yeah.
How talented our family that I came from and the background that I came from in the game of baseball. But
so they know the Boyds in Meridian, Mississippi, for sure.
No question about it. And then, family tree is strong. My siblings played as well, like I said, but also cousins.
Sure.
And uncles and a whole bunch of cousins.
Yeah.
So in the town that I grew up in, I have literally over 2,000 immediate family members. Yeah. Because
just go back down there and run for mayor.
I'm going home. I'm definitely going back home. I love it up here in New England. It's been very, very good to me. No question about it. The whole time that I've spent up here on and off, maybe 37 years. Yeah. And became very much part of New England because of baseball. Sure. But, the best part about it is to, be a down-to-earth person like I am. It allowed me to meet, I wouldn't say, quote, everyday people.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what I
let me
love.
tell you, some Sly and the Family Stone ain't going to say it any better. Every day, but listen to me, I'm telling you right now, you are as cool as the other side of the pillow, and you are that real.
I believe that.
And everybody who met you that told me, they say, listen, Mike, because we get over 1 million people in our social media network, and I've had people contact me that you've come across, and you may not know, but they certainly know you. And they say, what a good dude and how down to earth that you are, man. You got a lot of soul, you got a lot of spirit. You're the real deal. You did not disappoint.
I appreciate it.
Put it that way. And Brian can attest to that.
Absolutely, positively. And actually, to talk about your point about your family tree as far as baseball is concerned, your uncles and your great uncle played in the Negro Leagues.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And as a matter of fact, your uncle Robert was the first African American to be signed by the Chicago White Sox back in 1950.
Robert Boyd, yeah. And, real strong in my family tree. And then, going back to the late 1800s, Benjamin Boyd as well, and the whole thing was that, that bloodline was passed down, but also passed down from my mom's side of the family too. Uh-huh. And so it made baseball very prominent in my life that both of my parents came from the game of baseball. Mm-hmm. And my mom had first cousins that played very, very good brand of baseball. I talk about it in the book that I came out with in 2012. You know, how parts of my family tree spread it out when they were young and they were seeking an opportunity to play professional baseball and not being seen, you know, in rural Mississippi,
Sure.
and not being appreciated in rural Mississippi, had to take way and take flight. And one of my family members that I'm most proud of that I never really talk about no more than in the baseball world was Barry Locken.
Yeah.
And his dad and my dad, they first cousins.
I believe he went to Cincinnati Mola. Didn't he? Didn't his kid go there? To high school there?
Yeah.
It's a big time high school in Cincinnati, man. A lot of pros come
A
from
lot
there.
of pros come out of the
Yeah.
area, and that's where one of my family members ended up at, while they was on a journey to play baseball. And so those are, you know, when you connect around the game and you see that the game of baseball itself is very genetic. 2/3 of professional baseball players are, you know, passed down generations of ball players. You know, it's not no new ball player, you know, that's been invented. All of us pretty much came from somebody in our family played baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. And your history is amazing. Does it bother you today? And I don't want to. I don't want to skip from this time up. That I believe less than 10% of Major League Baseball players are African American.
Yes.
What happened here?
It's diminished. You know, well, let the truth be told. You know, and maybe
Tell the truth, man, right here.
From my point of view, is that, you know, the environment has changed. The inner city has changed for a lot of negative reasons that made our kids migrate from a baseball field from the time that I was growing up, that we didn't have these vices and things that kids are going through today.
Sure.
We didn't have the violence that kids have to protest today. We didn't have the ignorance that's out there today. So believe it or not, it'll take you away from the
but
baseball.
on the other end, your life was much more difficult in a lot of other ways.
Yeah, that I made positive out of it.
Absolutely, sure, yeah.
I made positive. I'm not saying that I didn't come from the background that these babies are coming from, but this day and time is very, very different than what it was as a kid growing up being deprived. Yeah, but it wasn't a different element in there. And when the drugs and things started hitting the streets back about 30, 35 years ago, it started to diminish in the inner city, and it started to take away the love and the care of something that was very, very prominent from the past that was passed down to us. I mean, to tell you, it wouldn't be no basketball, it wouldn't be no football if it wasn't for baseball.
Yeah.
And, you know, we came first 175 years ago.
Talk to me about, did you ever see a barnstorming event with the Negro League All-Stars in your hometown?
I just heard about it.
You just heard about it as a kid, okay.
Yeah.
What were those stories like? It looked like it was a carnival. It looked like the environment around it. People came from hundreds of towns, hundreds of miles away, and it was a pilgrimage to see Satchel Paige and Jackie Robinson and Josh Gibson and all those great Negro League players. You know, it must have been quite a thing because it was their own. And it was very much their own, and they played with the style and the passion that baseball was in much need of, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, and with the movies I've watched and the research that I have done, it seemed like it was a big celebration.
Well, I was the third generation, or maybe say the fourth generation of that, to where my style of baseball that I played in the major leagues they would say would be very flamboyant, and sometimes would seem to be cocky.
You were one of the original bad boys of sports, kid.
I came to
for
play.
real. If he was today, he came to play. You know how marketable this man would be. Oh my God, come on! Everything you wore it on your sleeve, and you felt it. And I think that's why Boston embraced you.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. When did you get the sports bug? When did you start noticing, hey, listen, man, I'm a little better than everybody around me. My girlfriend's a little better looking than everybody around me. Okay, people pay more attention to me, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great thing. I played in the Big East. My brother played in the NBA. My father had to say, he goes, you know, Mike, he says, you know, funny thing is, you know, the more points you get, the better looking your girlfriend does.
Yeah, right.
So, you know what I mean?
Didn't come to me like that. That part came later, but the bug of baseball.
Yeah, the bug of being a young athlete with potential to be a major league player. When you get to that level, that's a great time of life.
Yeah. Well, when I didn't really, believe it or not, my family tree passed it on to you. It wasn't something that
Okay. That was new to you?
right, and
I hear you.
I recognized it at a very young age.
Sure.
That, and you know, having as many siblings as I had, having 12 brothers, that I was second to all of them. To tell you the truth, I'm talking about all of them were a better baseball player than I was.
Sure.
And without a doubt, that's who I looked up to. But to really understand that I had an opportunity to play professional baseball, and it you wouldn't believe it, but I was 9 years old when I had not so much an epiphany, you would call it.
Yeah.
But, you know, when the teacher, you know, asks you in the,
Sure.
you know, 5th, 6th grade, you know, what do you want to be?
Yeah.
You know, every kid wrote down, I want to be a fireman, a policeman, et cetera, et cetera. And I actually wrote down that I wanted to pitch in the major leagues.
Yeah. And what'd she say to you?
Well, what was so amazing about doing that I didn't think about at that time. I was just telling, you know, my dreams and my imagination was way out there with what I love to do.
Sure.
And it was so passionate that I did it every day, all day, by myself if I had to. But I had brothers to play catch with and every kid in the neighborhood. But when I wrote that paper in 1969, she gave it back to me in 1987. The same paper that I wrote, she kept it. She told me that
she knew.
She said she thought it was the most special thing that a kid ever said he wanted to be.
Sure.
And I ended up fulfilling that in every way. And that, just knowing that I thought about it at that time was on my mind all the time until I actually walked on the mound for the Boston Red Sox.
Absolutely. And high school baseball in Mississippi. Let's talk about it a little bit before we get into Jackson State. What was that like?
It was a change because my brothers was the first to integrate baseball in high school. So in 1971, I had 3 older brothers that were playing high school baseball. The brothers older than they
was that a big media story down there then?
Very much so.
Sure.
It was all over every newspaper.
Absolutely.
Because every high school team in the South did not have a black baseball player. And baseball at the time, before integration, wasn't in every high school in the state of Mississippi. It was only in all prominent white high schools. You had basketball, you had football, but you didn't have baseball. Baseball was to be played in the summertime in Park and Rec. And that's when scouts would come and actually see the black ball player play baseball and sign you free agency at that time quite a bit in the late 50s all the way up until the early 70s. So it was very, very different. So when my brothers signed high school baseball back in 71, my brothers Steve, Michael, and Don, one was a sophomore, junior, and a senior. They were right behind each other in age.
Same school?
Same school. And
what's the name of that school, if you don't?
Meridian High School.
Meridian High School, okay.
And at the time, it had been 2 other black ball players to play there in like 69 and 70. That's when it was legally integrated, but all the black kids wouldn't leave the all-black high school in those years. They migrated to that high school years after.
Why did your brothers migrate? Were they influenced by your parents?
Well, no, the coach actually came to see them play.
The white coach?
In
Mississippi in 1970.
Yeah, came to see him
reaches out his arm and wants to break that barrier.
He came into an all-black neighborhood.
I hope they get a statue built for that man back then, because that didn't happen.
Right, his name was Bill Marchant.
Bill Marchant.
And he ended up coaching at Delta State University, where Boo Farris went to school as well and managed as well. And a lot of great ball players came out of Delta State for many, many years. But he was a white coach when schools integrated. Well, he wasn't just going to let the school integrate. I'm going to integrate my baseball team.
I would too.
And he was hated. He was hated for it in the first few years by the alumni of the school because, you know, the white kids would never played together. So they wasn't ready for that, whether it was high school or not. So within the element of playing high school baseball with your own teammates, you were called the N-word by your own teammates. So these are kids that you had to grow to learn. There's just a year before that, they never had been in a classroom together ever. And then they didn't have no life together. It wasn't that they didn't just go to school together.
What racism and prejudice is a taught behavior. What percentage of your teammates do you think were racist in high school?
None of them were born racist.
No,
All
I
of
said
them was
that.
taught to be.
Taught to be, sure.
But believe it or not, each and every one of them, not one that I played with, not I played with, my brothers played with was different.
Yeah.
Because my brother Neil and I came years behind the
Sure.
other three. It was different, and we had started to learn each other. And it don't take but long. Baseball will pull you together, and
That was my point. Sports has always brought it together a little quicker than
in a situation that's
than like sports in schools, really bring it together, because at the end of the day, when you're in a state tournament, and you're playing, you're closer to brothers than to being enemies. Certainly just because of race. I would think so, but I didn't grow up in Meridian. You're 6'2". You go to Jackson State. Why do you go to college and not just go right to? Did you tell the scouts that you were going right to college, or?
They had drafted a few brothers previously, and had seen all my brothers and seen us all for years, even before schools were integrated. They had, they knew the family tree.
Yeah.
And so you follow the bloodline, and so I chose to go to Jackson State primarily because it was an all-black university, and I wanted to be a part of that program, and they had a great program, and I had just recently played for the first time in my life for 2 years for a white high school baseball coach, Bill Marchant.
Yeah.
And like I said, he was ridiculed about what he did, but he ended up being loved for it because he brought championships there with my brothers.
Yeah.
And but when I chose to go to Jackson State University, I had quite a few offers to go and play at even the bigger high Division I schools.
Sure.
And I didn't want to be a token at that time. As a black ball player, you would have been.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that. And I told, I told Mississippi State coach, which I love today, Ron Pope, more than anybody on the planet. Yeah. And he loves me as well. But he thought about considering bringing me in there in 1977 to be the first black ball player to play there. And I told him, I said, I can't deal with it. I'm not that kind of black kid.
Yeah.
I'm not. I won't make that adjustment. And
explain that for a second.
Well, I come from too many brothers, so I know how to box. Yeah. And I won't hesitate if I'm put in that situation. So I ignored going there for that personal reason. Sure. I felt like I could play Major League Baseball no matter where I go, but I'm going to be comfortable. That I'm going to be. Yeah, I'm going to be. Sure. I faced it in college from the other side of the field.
Of course. But there is something to be said about, hey, listen, I'm not here to make history. I'm here to play baseball.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can do both. Well, Jackie did, but Robinson did, but I'm not sure if you can really do both. That's very interesting. All right, so talk about Jackson State. What year is this?
I went there in 77, the fall of 77, at 17 years old.
How are those juke joints? Is that what you guys call them in Mississippi?
Yeah,
how's those juke joints rocking around Jackson State at the time, man? Is the can having a good time around there?
Well, basically, I was actually pretty green. If my brother Neil then transferred from Tuskegee, that's where he went, to come and go to school with me and kind of be like a overseer, caretaker of his little brother. Yeah. And he was a really good ball player, and we were roommates, and so I didn't really get a chance to get out as a freshman. I started to, I was a very disciplined kid when it came to get my books and doing what I had to do, and
discipline.
I wasn't shy. Yeah, I wasn't shy, but going on the campus with 9,000 kids from everywhere was a little bit different. But having my brother there, and then I'm there for a reason, as well as to go to school and get educated. I'm there. I'm a baseball player. I recognized I was a jock, no question about it, because my baseball showed up real fast. Yeah. That I'm one. I'm a bad man.
You are a bad man. Yeah. Brian?
Yeah, and your record speaks for itself on that. You were 20-5 in your college career. You're in Jackson State's Hall of Fame. How much does that mean to you?
It's very, very special, along with a lot of my other teammates that I went in before me and went in after me. It's a very precious thing to be in the Conference Hall of Fame as well as your alma mater's Hall of Fame.
There you go.
And so, it made me reach the peak of knowing that a lot of ball players that has came through here got an opportunity to reveal their talents and be blessed for what you did. And when Jackson State recognized me for both of those awards, and the conference recognized me, the SWAC as well recognized me.
The
as well.
SWAC.
Yeah.
A lot of history in that league.
Yeah. All of us, a lot of us, Walter Paytons and Jerry Rices, and all of us.
Yeah.
That's what we.
Eddie Robinson.
Oh yeah, Lynn Burney, a whole bunch of us, And,
The SWAC.
Yeah, Doug Williams. And
How was your band?
Oh no, we had that's the sonic boom. That's the sonic boom of the South. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we had some stepping going on.
I'm sure.
Very, very soulful school.
Sure.
A very, very important time in my life, and the peers that I had there, and guys that I played ball with, and for years and years will always be my brothers. Without a doubt, that's what college does to you when you're in it's almost like a frat.
Yeah, oh yeah. Without question. You you get drafted by the Boston Red Sox in the 14th round. Now you're going from Meridian to Jackson, and it's like, shit, the Boston Red Sox just drafted me.
Yeah.
What did you think of Boston at that time?
Man, let me tell you the truth. I was telling somebody just down in fantasy camp just a couple of weeks ago with the Red Sox that we only got National League Baseball on TV.
Yeah.
When I was a kid growing up, you could see the Dodgers and the Cardinals and the Reds play. Yeah. And so, we knew those ball players better than we knew American League, our American League teams as a kid.
Yeah.
So, my reminiscence of knowing who a Boston Red Sox was Carl Yastrzemski.
Sure.
And it was because I hit with his bat in Little League.
Yeah.
Back then, we hit with wood. So we had branded bats with your inscription of your name in the bat. Pete Rose, Mickey Mantle. Yeah. We used those bats. Yeah. So it made us familiar with not just who they were, where they played at.
Sure.
So when I got drafted by the Boston Red Sox in 1980, the scout pretty much talked me into signing the contract because of who he was. And he was Ed Scott. And he had a reputation for any ball player every ball player that he signed went to the major leagues. That was his resume. If he said,
well, he's right about you.
So he said, if you're going. And I want to say Dana Williams was the last that he signed before he passed to go. But I was almost next to last, and he thought the world of me. And the way he introduced me to the Boston Red Sox was that he's identical to Satchel Paige.
Oh.
So you have to come and see this. And that started to build a reputation around me to honor a man that I loved, more than anything.
Absolutely. Did people from all around your part of the state come to watch you pitch?
High school baseball that came to watch you pitch, but like I say, it was such a segregated atmosphere mentally too, as well as not so much physically. They came to represent their team, but I would be at times the only black kid on the field on an all-white team.
Sure.
So you got a chance to be noticed in that way, especially when you perform to a very high level. Who is this kid? And that type thing.
Yeah. So you come to Boston, right? Mm-hmm. You told a funny story about Boston. We were eating some of that Marzilli's. But you come to Boston, okay. What's your first experience? Did you go to the city right away, or did you just assign it to the minor league destination?
Well, I was playing ball in Lynn.
Yeah, Lynn. The city of sin. Never go out the way you come in.
So at the time, they were the Seattle Mariners AA team. Yeah. The Sailors, they were. Yeah. And having Spike Owens over there on the other side of the field, he had just signed Alvin Davis and et cetera. Yeah. So I was pitching that night, and I was like maybe 12 strikeouts from striking out 200. So I ended up striking out 9. So I ended up with 197. So I was a little bit short of that. But in the process of warming up in the bullpen before that took place, Tony Torsia was my manager. And he walked down to the bullpen, watched me warm up, walking real slow. He was walking real slow. He knew I was very intense, and I was very concentrating on when I'm warming up. People don't talk to me, you know what I'm saying? So he eased up in between pitches, and he said, how you feel? I said, I feel real good. He said, you going up tomorrow? I said, I'm going well. He said, you going right over there. You know, and he said, you going right over there. It dawned on me, he said, I'm going to the big leagues. I started to cry right then on the spot. So I remember it like yesterday. And then after the ball game, Rico Petrocelli, which I love dearly, I see him every fantasy camp.
Yeah.
And he wanted to interview me after the ball game. And he said something to me that I'll never forget today. He said, where you learn to pitch like that? You know, that's what he said to me.
Sure.
That's the first thing he said. He said, I ain't never seen nothing like that before in my life. And he said, it's amazing. He said, where you learn to do that? And I told him
It's a family thing, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I said, my dad had a younger brother he was a bad man. And I was identical to my Uncle KT.
Sure.
And he was legendary.
Sure.
In the Negro Leagues. And so I told him, you know, that's where I got it from. I said, it's part of my family tree. And
sure.
he said,
and by you making a pros, it completed that family trajectory, you know, from all the success with your brothers in the Negro League, and you come up and you get them, and that's an amazing story. It's an amazing story. I remember the day I watched my brother get drafted in the NBA.
So
you know, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. I don't know it as well as you do or he does, but pretty close.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Nah, you kidding me? So you're going up, right? Rico Petrocelli, I said he was a tough guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah? He was from, where was he from? He was from New York, was it Rico Petrocelli?
Yeah. He, I thought he would have been a Yankee, you know, because ain't no way you gonna let that kind of ball player go play nowhere.
Sure, yeah. They say he was a tough guy.
Yeah, he was somebody you didn't want to mess with.
Yeah, he's very sweet man, though.
Yeah. Okay, so your first game in the Red Sox is against who? Can you remember?
Cleveland Indians.
Yeah. You start? Mm-hmm. Well, what was it like? What was it like taking that mound and just looking around? The thing about Fenway Park.
Well, I talk about it. I think I might have mentioned it in my book. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I remember it right, but I can remember how it was and the whole thing about it. Leaving from the Sheraton Hotel, I never forget. It was a strange day that I ain't never seen before, and it was very metaphoric. In a sense of, I was getting ready to leave the hotel. I was coming out of the shower, and the shower rack is right next to the mirror, and I bumped my head, and I got a pitch, and I cut over my eye.
That's crazy,
I cut it. So, you know, it started to bleed a little bit. So, you know, I didn't realize that I cut it pretty good.
Yeah, cut.
You know. And I turned it, boom.
Yeah.
Man. So I got a headache while I'm catching a cab to the ballpark.
Uh-huh.
So, when I get there, the ball is in my locker. I'm starting to get dressed and everything. And Johnny Pesky is sitting right next to me. That was his locker right next to mine, my whole career. And you know, he asked me how I'm doing. He thought the world of me. And he said, okay, we get a chance to see what I heard. That's what he said.
That's right.
That's what he said.
To see what I heard. I like that. I like that.
He said, the ball was in my locker, and Ralph Hawk got the ball out the locker, come over to the locker while I was getting dressed and took the ball out the locker. And he put it in my hand. And he said, they told me I don't have to tell you nothing. Here, take this and go do what they say you know how to do.
Okay.
That's all he said. He didn't give me no speech about don't be nervous.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Don't be this, don't be that. No, none of that. He said maybe 2 words. He said, they told me you know how to pitch, so ain't nothing to talk to you about. Yeah. And that's what he said. So I went out and I threw the ball very, very well. But it became kind of, the sky changed colors, like a purplish type. Like it would be a hurricane looking weather.
Sure.
If it was in Mississippi.
I understand.
That's what our sky
turned
to.
Sure.
You know, so
foreboding skies, is that what it is?
It was the strangest thing I ever seen before. And I got great comment in the newspaper the next day from Toby Harrell.
Yeah, Toby Harrell, yeah.
And I never forget it. He said, he told me he gonna pitch a long time. And he's a very, very overly talented young man. That's how he described me after they had faced me.
What was some of the other things other players said about you that you appreciated?
A lot of them said a lot of good things.
Talk to me about it.
Not one of them ever said anything bad. Not one ball player.
You never pissed one of them off?
It would be about the game. It wouldn't be my personality.
Okay.
It wouldn't, because there was so many people that adored me as a person.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't tolerate other people.
Yeah.
Talking about me. That's even their own teammates. I had so many friends on every team that I didn't know.
Sure.
That would, I can remember how sweet Cal Ripken was about me. Don Madley.
A lot of these guys had probably heard stories about you, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Because baseball stories back then used to travel like great American folklore. About we're going to see this kid from Meridian, Dennis Oil Can Boyd pitch, man. He's a young Satchel Paige. On and on and on. Baseball was baseball cards and baseball on TV, and baseball was really the only sport really paying athletes good money at that time. It was crazy, crazy how interwoven into the American fabric that it was, from being diversified, desegregated, all of it. It's you can watch our country through baseball a little bit, I believe. Did the people in Boston embrace you right away, and did you feel any prejudice in Boston? Boston, rightfully or wrongfully so, had a reputation of being a place that wasn't very friendly to African American athletes. Tell me about your experience there.
Not one time I experienced that.
Not one time?
And I'm a black man from Mississippi. Automatically I experienced that shit. I can notice it, pick it up quicker than anybody. I have a scent for that.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Arrogance in people. And not one time anywhere I went, nowhere I went, no person I spoke to, no person spoke to me.
Sure.
No fan was obnoxious to me at no time I was there.
Yeah.
I noticed a very special atmosphere around myself from day one.
From day one. Yeah, it was like a party when Oil Can pitched.
Well, they understood me.
Yeah. We used to watch, me and my friends. I'll tell you, we would stop playing sports early. We'd stop playing stickball early. If he was pitching, I had 2 of my best friends, Jason Carrero, who hit me up on Facebook. And, he was obsessed. Yeah, every thing in his room was Oil Can Boyd. He was obsessed with Oil Can. He's a big Red Sox fan and a big Dennis Oil Can Boyd fan. So anytime he was on TV, we were in front of the TV watching. That's for sure. Tell me about who was your favorite teammate ever for the Red Sox?
my favorite person to be around
Yeah.
and to talk to.
Yeah.
I spent more time out with probably Ed Urick.
Yeah.
Loved him as a person and everything about him, and he did me as so from the day he first met me.
Yeah.
I grew to love them all, but I became probably over close to Rich Getman
Rich Gedman.
more than any person.
Was that the pitcher catcher thing, or you guys just hit it off?
Everything. He's a big gentleman right now. With me, he's very protective of me right now. He won't let me be in harm's way in no fashion. Overly special person to me. Wish I'd have met him just outside of just baseball.
Yeah.
But baseball brought us together.
Sure.
But every time I talk about him, I get very emotional because of the things that he say about me. And it gets back to me. He lets me know he loves me from afar. And when he's with me, it's just like, I don't know what it is, but I love him more than any ball player I've ever played with.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We're gonna take a break. We'll be back with this amazing interview with Dennis Oil Can Boyd, one of the most beloved Red Sox of all time. We'll be back right after this.
My house and my property is an investment that my husband and I have ever made. That's why, after a bad storm destroyed our deck, I called Gemini Home Improvement. They gave us a fair estimate, were professional, and most importantly, they did a great job. I highly recommend Gemini Home Improvement. If you are looking to fix your roof, vinyl siding, or decking, call Gemini Home Improvement.
Call Gemini Home Improvement at 401-309-7092. That's 401-309-7092. They make your vision come true. It's what they do. Gemini Home Improvement.
Do you want to feel radiant, beautiful, and confident? Do you want to feel 10 years younger? Come to Spa Number 5, the Face Fox, located at 580 Wood Street in Bristol, Rhode Island. From Botox fillers to laser fillers and top-of-the-line skincare, Spa Number 5 has all you need to feel beautiful again. Go to spa-5.com or visit us at 580 Wood Street in Bristol, Rhode Island. Take advantage of all our fall specials happening now. Spa Number 5, the Face Fox. Party Dress Express is your one-stop shop for a dress for any occasion. Whether it's a prom, a graduation, a special night on the town, or your wedding. Party Dress Express has over 15,000 dresses in stock and prices to fit any budget. Party Dress Express is located at the Tower Mill, 657 Quarry Street in Fall River, Mass. Open 7 days a week. Call Party Dress Express at 508-677-1575. That's 508-677-1575.
Life around here can be hard. Money's tight, unemployment's high, and sometimes opportunity seems too far away. You work hard and often. At times, you might not have the time or the energy to fight. The insurance companies in corporate America have endless resources and their pockets are full, and they don't fight fair. That's why when it comes to your legal matters, you need someone who's fought them and won over and over again. Someone who's going to take it personally, not get intimidated, not get bullied or pushed around for an early or unjust settlement. My record is proven. The results are clear. Let me and my firm fight for you when you need it most.
At Excel Recycling, we want to turn your trash into cash today. That's right, cash money immediately for your old appliances, old automobiles, metal wire, and scrap salvage. Excel has 3 locations in the South Coast. 17 Hill Road in New Bedford, 37 Charlotte White Road in Westport, and 15 Ridge Hill Road in Asona. Nobody will pay you more than Excel. At Excel Recycling, we want to turn your trash into cash. Come see us again at 17 Hill Road in New Bedford, 37 Charlotte White Road in Westport, and 15 Ridge Hill Road in Asona.
KB Glass Company can cover all your needs. Commercial, residential, storefronts, glass replacements, custom showers, and mirrors. Whether it's for your business or your home, KB Glass is your one-stop shop for all your glass needs. Call KB Glass at 508-677-7179 or 401-639-2716. Another summer has passed, and once again your dream of having a pool in your backyard has come and gone. Right now is the time to make sure it doesn't happen again. Call Apollo Pools and Spas now and lock your date in for the pool you have always wanted, for you, your family, and friends to enjoy. Don't wait another minute. Call Matt Collins at Apollo Pools and Spas at 508-923-7381. 508-923-7381. Apollo Pools and Spas.
Hello, this is the Hurricane. Welcome back with a very moving interview with one of my favorite all-time Boston Red Sox and Dennis Earl Cam Boyd. Brian, you did a lot of preparation for this. Is there a question that you want to ask?
So it was September 13th, 1982. And you're on the mound. You wind up taking the loss that day.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know at that point that somewhere along the way you were going to be up there to stay?
Yeah, I kind of figured it out. I was, personally, I was a little bit, bitter because I felt like, I could have came up earlier. Even though I did come up in September, on the call up and everything. This day and time, I would have been up much earlier, compared to how they send young kids up that's throwing the ball very well in the minor leagues. And I threw the ball as well as anybody that's throwing the ball in the minor league. And so I kind of felt like, I need to get comfortable and make the adjustment of facing a major league hitter and the whole atmosphere,
Sure.
Then that's going to bring out the best in me.
Don't they say the game slows down for you, right? Well, after your first couple of games, like, you find like rookies, the game will eventually slow down for them. And that's when they start really putting what they can do, onto the field. Go ahead, Brian.
And you also led the Eastern League in strikeouts that year as well. You went 14-8, 2.81 ERA, 191 strikeouts.
It's really a 97. That one is wrong on the back. That's the only thing on the back of my car.
I love it. I love it.
I had broke Steve Sneck's record of 188 punch outs. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny.
You're right.
What was it like to participate in the Red Sox-Yankee rivalry? Were you ever like, oh shit, this is the rivalry of all rivalries?
Well, when Billy Martin was still there, it made a difference.
Sure.
I can't remember how many years he managed while I was there, but the years that he was there, he made it intense himself personally.
Sure.
Especially with me personally.
Really?
Because of my style of pitching, how spunky I was, how everything I was on the mound. I was very, very personal about pitching. So when we did play the Yankees, it did intensify.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, we were, if I'd have realized myself personally how the vendetta of the two teams were in division play.
Yeah.
To be the best,
Yeah.
To be better than them.
Yeah.
It's not described back then like it was intensified.
Because there's no wild card.
Right.
You're fighting,
It's a little bit different. The
Sure.
attitude that you took, it was pretty much taken to every team like that with me.
What was the difference between the locker room when you were playing the Yankees and where you were? Was it quieter? Was it more focused? Was it more amped? Was it more hyped? Talk to me about the dynamic of the locker room of a Red Sox Yankee game.
Basically, it was almost a game individual type effort mixed all together. Some guys took it to a level of of really focusing on. We were all focusing on winning the game, but we didn't want the Yankees to beat us.
Yeah, sure.
So you took that kind of approach that, we knew that much definitely that they were, in fact, the nemesis.
Yeah. Sure, yeah. I mean, they were the most recognizable sports franchise in the world and still may be today. Let's talk about pitching in the World Series. Okay. Well, actually, let's talk about the Angels series before the Mets series, right? Dave Henderson, right? Hits a home run.
Remarkable time.
Yeah. Where were you?
In the dugout watching it.
Watching it.
I've seen it.
How many guys were in the locker room? Was anybody in the locker room?
Everybody was on the bench.
Everybody was on the bench.
Everybody was on the bench. It was at the time in the game.
Yeah.
It meant,
Oh, yeah.
It was opportunity in a lifetime that you would ever see in the game of baseball. I was watching it so well, I saw him hurt his knee.
Yeah, when he landed. Yeah.
I was watching it so well.
Yeah.
I watched his knee bend.
Yeah.
I said it to myself, he hurt right now. And then you could see him actually limp going around the base.
Yeah.
But when he jumped up and came down, I saw his knee buckle.
Sure.
And that's how hard I was
You
looking.
see Donnie Moore, God rest his soul, did you see his knee buckle too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw all the air come out of him.
Yeah. Did you feel bad for him?
As a pitcher, yeah,
Of course
definitely.
you did, yeah.
As a person, more than anything, too, as well.
Yeah. Because the heat's coming his way, he's going to be
Right.
insufferable.
Right. It's just the game of baseball to beat you up that way.
Sometimes the game of life will beat you up that way too, huh, man?
It'll beat you up.
Absolutely. Brian?
Yeah. So at that point, Game 5, Dave Henderson hits the home run. You pitch Game 6. You rout the Angels 10-3. Pitch 7 innings. Come off the mound. You're a winning pitcher. Is there any way you're losing that Game 7, the Game 6 or the Game 7?
No. After Dave Henderson hit the home run, somebody said to me in the clubhouse, I forgot what it was, but they said, go take care of business. And so, when I came, I was ready to pitch. And the thing was that
How amped was Fenway Park that day?
it was super amped.
Yeah.
It was
And I would think you would like that, right?
Oh,
That's your time.
Well, I was pitching
Your
real
prime
well.
time, right?
Even the game I lost out there,
Yeah.
Game 3, I actually pitched way much better than I pitched in Game 6.
Yeah.
I gave up a home run to Getty Pettis, and I never forget. I was throwing the ball so well, and I can describe it like it was today. It was like a overwhelming of confidence came over me. I was in the 6th, 7th inning.
Yeah.
And it was just, I smiled, believe it or not. I actually smiled at him at the plate.
Yeah.
And maybe the second, third pitch, he hit a home run. But it gave him confidence.
Yeah.
Because I was such in control. I'm talking about I was throwing the ball better than I've ever thrown the ball that night, so.
Yeah, amazing stories. Gary Pettis.
Yeah.
Center fielder, right? For them?
Yeah.
Okay, you pitched in the World Series. Okay. What was that? Describe what that must be like.
Well,
Did you look around and say, what a journey? Because at the end of the day, some have the money, some don't. Some have the positive experience, some don't. Some are well-liked, some don't. But the journey they all share, they say that's where the treasure is, right?
Yeah.
On a journey. So you stop back to going into an integrated high school, being from a baseball royalty down south. Okay, the youngest of 18. You get to the World Series, and you must. Did it take us a minute or two, or in your case, maybe 5, with your experience, and say, "Wow, this is incredible. I'm in the World Series, and 30 million people are going to be watching me tonight." Or you just so in the moment.
It was a very emotional evening too. It was more to it that when you would think about the game. In my life, a lot was going on at the period in time.
Yeah.
Even during the World Series. It was a very strange time. I had family that wanted to come up.
Yeah.
And I brought family up, but I had specifically told one of my siblings that one part of my family I don't want to see.
Sure.
And that part of the family came.
Oh boy.
And it disturbed my whole concentration when I went to the airport to pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very, very uncomfortable evening, riding back, not being able to think about I got a pitch in 2 hours. Couldn't think about pitching till I actually got in uniform.
Yeah.
So once I got in the uniform, and it's not any excuse or whatsoever, I talk about it in the book. It was the most difficult thing that I've ever had to experience. I said, on the most special night in my life, I ain't focused to pitch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The very most special night.
And that's what I think a lot of people forget, that the athletes are human beings as well, too.
Well,
that they are affected and they are thrown off course by the same things that natural people walk around every ordinary male and females are. I mean, it's susceptible to all that kind of stuff, family issues, health, pressures, anxiety, all of it.
It was a very difficult time, but what I remember the most is that how besides giving up the home run to Lenny, the first at bat, and how the ending went kind of real fast and out of place real fast.
Yeah.
To where I think it gave them 3-0 or 4-0 lead.
Yeah.
And without no real damage done but a home run. But you got 4 runs, and I don't know how you got them. But you can't get no more.
Yeah.
So I began to pitch probably better than I've ever pitched in my life. I think I retired the next
The survival mode kick in?
18 batters in a row I retired after the first inning.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
You're a very proud man, huh?
Oh, very much so. Very much so in every way.
Do you think about one of my favorite movies is, and I like it because the way it was filmed, the way it was shot, is the thing with Kevin Costner. What's that? It's the romantic. It's the
Field of Dreams.
no.
No.
He's a Detroit Tiger.
Oh,
For the love of the game.
For the love of the game.
How the consistent part of that movie is he's on a mound in the first inning, and he's reflecting back to his time. Have you ever seen that movie?
I've seen just bits and pieces of that one.
It's
I've seen the other ones.
You should watch it because his last game at Yankee Stadium, he has to play against his old teammate. People are debating whether he should retire or not. He stayed with his team the whole time. Billy Chappell. And it goes back to minor league experiences and life as a young player, as a major leaguer, and all the lessons that he learned throughout this process. And, it's really amazing, and he's up there and he pitches a no-hitter. But, what are you thinking about anything else other than baseball on that mound at that time? Are you thinking about,
after the first inning of the World Series, I shook it primarily very, very fast because anger took place, and believe it or not, that's when I did my best pitching I've ever did at any given night, at any given time, is when I'm actually competing to the highest level. It becomes personable.
Yeah.
It was very quiet, very humbling. like I said, it was game 6 for the ball to actually, be fumbled or bumbled in any kind of way. That's part of the game. We had another game 7 to play, and that's the one that I was more concerned about because that was the night that I was supposed to be pitching. So, the World Series didn't end in game 6, and it wasn't won in game 6. So, it still took whatever team to win it was going to win 4 games.
What was Bill Buckner like in that locker room? Did he apologize? Did he say anything?
No. It wasn't nothing to apologize about.
Yeah.
And he was so hurt that, it wasn't nothing to apologize about. It was not one ball player we ever played with.
Apologize for making a mistake, yeah.
For that mistake, to nobody that I've ever heard that one of my teammates have ever made a comment about that.
Sure. They'd be probably more inclined to recognize a mental mistake, I would think, probably, right?
Well, it was a ball that was hit. Believe it or not, it's a very something that you see very rarely, and it's something that a hitter hates to do, and it's something that a pitcher hates to do at the same time. It rarely happens in a game of baseball where he's out front of the ball and he hits it off at the very end of the bat.
Yeah.
Well, as a pitcher, we don't know where it's going. And as a fielder, if it's hit toward you, it's spinning.
Yeah, of course.
So you don't know once it kick a grass or a blade or anything or a
the
dirt
first base bag.
So when he came off the bag, the ball went the other way, and you slid in slow motion that he was already there, ready to catch it. But it was so many things that happened on that one play that you can't really put your finger on, because I don't think if he'd have caught the ball, the pitcher was going to beat Mookie Wilson to the base anyway.
No.
So he was going to be safe any way you looked at it.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
The pass ball to me was the worst instance.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was a cross up. It was just you, as a catcher, and you catching a sinker pitcher, and you call for the ball inside. So you're expecting it to go here.
Yeah.
But if he throw it back door, and he doesn't throw it, and hits a sinker, it's going down. Yeah. And if you see Getty didn't even know which way to try to catch it. He didn't try to backhand it. He tried to actually throw his body in front of it. Yeah. But you can't block that pitch. It's incredible to block that pitch.
It was these Boston fans don't know how easy they have, because it's a night that I'll never forget. I'm sure that you won't either.
It can be described in a lot of ways.
Oh, man. We're gonna wrap this interview up in a little bit. I got a couple more questions left. What word best describes you?
Daring. I care about everything around me, and I care about people. So it makes me very conscious of other people and how you manage that. And it helps you build great character within yourself, to be humbling in a way that you recognize people do's and don'ts and wills and wants.
What do you think your greatest strength is?
Personality.
What's your greatest weakness?
Being very sensitive.
Sure.
Where's
that come from?
Childhood. Things that you experienced as a kid
Sure,
growing up. And it's how you adore. You either become a very, very angry, mean person, or you'll become a person with very high sensitivity.
Sure. I got nothing left. Do you have anything for him? This has been an amazing interview, and just when we thought we couldn't top Mickey Ward, I think we have with Oil Can.
You're a terrific guest, Oil Can.
A terrific human being as well,
and a terrific human being. You also pitched for the Brockton Rocks as well for a number of years, and you're also still pitching in like senior leagues and tournaments, and fantasy camps as well. How does that?
It translating just to the love and the passion of the game. I love the game before I love anything that's commercial about it. The game itself is a metaphoric thing that only a ball player can actually feel. That I adore the game so much and what it brings out of me as a person, that I can see why people, the fan loves it. I can see why the ball player loves it. Everybody that's involved with it in some kind of way learns to love it. To still be playing at this age, I've been blessed with longevity. That's very unique to most guys that's my age. But I love the game so much, I work at it so much, and that's why my ability has been cut short a little bit, but it's not noticeable at all. You know what I'm saying?
He's gonna be pitching till he's dead.
It's not noticeable at all.
That's funny.
One other thing, metaphorical barnstorming league game. You're facing Bill Lee. Who wins?
I think I win. But he's an amazing person and overly talented. But at any time, if we played and I faced him, say 3 times.
You're gonna get him.
I'll win one, he'll win one, and one of us gonna get a no decision or 2 because we're gonna end up pitching 20.
I go with the can 2 or 3. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been offered a coaching job anywhere?
I've never applied.
You would be an amazing coach, and not just for the game of baseball, for the game of life, my brother. You would somebody out. I'm not sure if you want to do that because your love of baseball exudes from you, and you have all this wisdom, you have all this life experience, and we relate so well, I think, to the youth of today. Somebody that if I was a man in that power, I mean, you'd be coaching at my school. Yeah. That I think you'd be an amazing coach. And what a story to tell. It might be time for you to write another book too.
I thought about it.
Might be time for you to write another book. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm overwhelmed at this man here, and he's been here for about 2 hours already, and he's just been a lightning rod of joy and entertainment since he's walked in. One of my all-time favorite Red Sox. You're the real deal, my brother. You are the real deal. Dennis Oil Can Boyd, live from Mike Herron's Podcast City, man. You got to check this podcast out.
Thank you.
Nice job. Nice